I have to start my talk with an apology. If you're expecting a presentation about unlocking the potential data within agriculture, my original title, you may wish to take an extended comfort break. But if, like me, parsnips are your passion, then buckle up, you're in for the ride of your lives. Which culminates in a world first. My initial travel took me to many fantastic businesses, and I learned of their frustrations around fragmented systems and data issues. One particular business that was very useful at the time turned out to be pivotal in what came next. Much has changed since 2020, not just my Nuffield title. We had Donald Trump in the White House, at least that's behind us. And in January 2021, I changed my role to become Managing Director at Frederick Hyams. Frederick Hyams is a large-scale root vegetable, potato and onion business. And we had many challenges when I joined the business. The first, a return to profit. And the second most important challenge we had was the availability and increasing cost of labour. This is especially critical when it comes to processing parsnips. This slide shows the parsnip trimming line in 2021 in the build-up to our busy period over Christmas. And as you can see, we required a significant number of people doing what is a low-skill but vitally important role. They are positively selecting good parsnips to place on the trimming lines, and the night shift is even more challenging. Back in 2021, in October, we were informed by our agency labour provider that they had no one locally to work our night shift. They had a solution, which was to bus people from London every night at a cost of £1,000 for the transport and a premium per hour to attract our somewhat reluctant passengers. These guys should have been working in call centres, and because of COVID, they had been shut down, so they found themselves at 2 o'clock in the morning in a parsnip factory. What's not to like? Coupled with this, and I found this quite staggering looking at this, in the period my Nuffield started, I was awarded my Nuffield in 2019, we have seen a 50% increase in national living wage. This is a rate that we and our customers are struggling to keep up with. And we all know the definition of insanity, and the reality is we could simply not afford the same outcome. We had to find an alternative. Now, this is where you'd expect me to jet off around the world looking at various technologies and come back to you to report what I've found. But the reality is there was nothing out there. Parsnips being a relatively niche crop, developers are reluctant to spend their precious R&D budgets and without a firm order, and end users are not willing to commit until they know the technology works. We knew if we wanted to have a different outcome, we would need to become early adopters and help develop new technologies. And standing here 2 days before my 50th birthday, yes, I really am that old and it's taken that long to get to this stage, there is a real need to crack on as well. So the company that I mentioned earlier, which appeared on the other slide, was a business called Weimer Post-Harvest Solutions. I'd met them in New Zealand, had a conversation with them and knew what their capabilities were. So initially, I picked up the phone to them to say how could they help with our existing line. They came out, they did the analysis, they came up with some great ideas, and as they were leaving, they showed me a video of a trimmer, an automatic trimmer they'd been working on. I looked at this and became very excited and thought this could be a way forward. And we very quickly moved on to form a collaborative agreement with them, which basically meant that we would purchase the line should it meet certain criteria. So they were able to progress with confidence that if they were able to succeed, that we would put the first order in and everything could move forward. Now this is where the AV team had promised me the videos are going to work, and if they don't work, they've agreed to come up onto the stage and do this through the medium of mime. So fingers Fingers crossed. So the first prototype, you're in luck, guys. The first prototype was in New Zealand. This guy in the image here is a chap called Mitch, and he'll come up later. You'll see him later in the final slide of this part. And you can see it's pretty crude, but we wanted just to understand whether the machine itself were able to trim parsnips accurately without causing damage. And you'll see from the video how close this is slowed down, but how close the blade is getting. And these machines were then and still are working at a 95% trim accuracy, compared with what we had within with our manual line, which was somewhere in the region of 70%. So initially, first up, we're getting a big saving without crop damage. The second prototype, I knew I was going to do that. Let me just go back to that one. So this is the second prototype, which I will just click back one more. Hopefully, if you guys can help, this should run very shortly. There we go. So we agreed that we would bring the second prototype back to our site at Brandon. And we flew the guys out from New Zealand. Mitch and his team came over, and we wanted to test the equipment in real life conditions in UK climate and so on with a fresh crop. And I'm really glad we did this, because we found a fundamental flaw in this technology, and it really proves the benefits of early adoption, because the blade system was damaging the parsnips. They quickly remedied that, and we then moved to what I described earlier, which was our sort of main criteria they had to succeed before we moved on. And that was this machine had to deliver 2 parsnips a second to be accurately trimmed over a course of 2 minutes without intervention. And we had to do that over a consistent number of tests. And I'm delighted to say that it succeeded with flying colours. And we placed the order for the complete new line. As an interim step, we again, as part of the development, we set up 2 of the trimmers into the main part of the factory. And you can see here Cassie working very hard, hand feeding into the machine. And this is a really important part of the process as well in terms of machine learning. So we had to get these machines. It's all about AI, image processing, and so on. So they're feeding into the technology, and that was a really important part. So this shows the line as it was in 2021. The last parsnip went down that in May of 23, and the next slide is the world's first fully automated parsnip line. Ta-da! Now this, thank you. Now I'd like to pretend that, as with all new technology, it's not been without its problems, and we've had many, many different iterations. We've had to redo software and so on. But 9 months later, we hit the sweet spot, and we've been running to our targets ever since. This has led us to working with another packer, and we've since doubled the output of the factory. But I'm really keen to show what happened if we hadn't done anything. This is the payroll of the business. We were employing 109 people back in 2019 at a cost of 3.6 million. That's a frightening number, but that's the total cost of employment. If we forecast to 2025 and we introduce the national living wage increase and the national insurance that we've just seen over the last budget, employing 93 people will have a cost of 4.2 million. So that's the 16 people that we've saved putting the new technology in. This is better explained by our average employment cost per person being 33,000 in 2019, up to 45,000 by 2025. So really staggering costs. We've got to run pretty hard to stand still or go backwards in this case. So what would have happened if we'd done nothing and we'd kept those 16 other people? We would have had a further cost of £650,000 per annum. And that's a cost that we and our customers simply can't bear. We've heard about the challenges with the retailers and so on, and they're not immune to talk about inflation, but they certainly don't welcome those discussions. So I'm really pleased that we took the step and made the investment. And I think it's important within these things, if you're in the game and it's not right, you need to change the rules and look for these early adoptions. So having spent a significant amount of money on this project, we had to see how we could repurpose other things, but in a more inventive way. And I know that Nuffield promotes international travel. For our age, for our year group, that really wasn't possible. And sometimes you find the solutions a bit closer to home. We had a conversation with a chap called David Aarons, and he was been working with smart city technologies, Internet of Things, and that kind of thing. And we just simply asked him, can you repurpose existing assets to make them, to digitize them so we can get that information onto a dashboard, and it would help us with our systems and join up with the new technology that we put in. And it's surprising when you ask the question about what we want, rather than developers coming to you and telling you what they've produced, how much value we can get. So fairly quickly, this is a weighbridge, 30-year-old weighbridge with a very dated system on it. We managed to lock into the old interface and put it into a new CPU, and from there, so with writing fairly simple code, we've ended up with an analog system that is now weighing various loads coming through, putting it into our ERP system. We're linking it to our existing CCTV system, using it for ANPR technology. We can then use that technology to monitor gate entry onto the farm and that sort of thing. So, and the important message I want to get across is this is using existing assets. So yes, it takes quite a lot of time and quite a lot of energy to write code and various other things, but the result is a system that we can utilize on other things as well. So this is a geo-fenced boundary that we can set around key assets such as diesel tanks, and should someone come and should a vehicle arrive that isn't on our database, it will flag a message to us and alert us so we can see if it's friend or foe. And this shows the data capture that we got from the CCTV cameras as well as we press the weighbridge button, and they're being utilised across the factory in other areas so we can use them to monitor waste coming out the factory and so on. So that first initial code writing has really unlocked huge potential in other areas. My last final thing to say in terms of how we're trying to revolutionise the parsnip industry is around the long life storability and nutritional value of crop. We're working on a Innovate UK project called Inspect, and we're looking at modified atmosphere packaging and seeing how can we try and spread out the harvest. Christmas is a very busy time of year, and it's a big peak of where our harvest periods thing, so we need to try and spread that out. This very quickly shows parsnips that were harvested fresh on the day that the image was taken, and the second one is showing on the left-hand side, I think, is showing parsnips that were harvested 3 weeks earlier. And with the new process that we're working on, the picture in the middle, which I hope you'll agree looks like the fresh one, is the parsnips that were harvested 3 weeks earlier using the new process. Now that new process is a bit of a secret sauce. I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you. And quite frankly, I haven't got the energy. Thank you very much. I'm not going to talk about that one. And sorry if it would be remiss of me not to thank the Royal Norfolk Agricultural Association for bearing with me. It's been a long process, and a special mention to Ian Olston at Nuffield Farms. He was pivotal in me applying for the Nuffield Scholarship in the first place. So thank you very much.